Hello and welcome to KnightHunter Books. Today we're going to do some short reviews of some of the short fiction that's been nominated for this year's Hugo Award.
This is less aimed to some extent at people who are going to be voting on the Hugos because honestly the packs just come out, you've had the ballot, they're quite short, you've probably read them already. So I suppose this is really aimed at people who aren't going to Worldcon and might be looking for some of the best of short fiction of the year.
Yeah, and these are all available for free online. You don't have to be voting to be able to just dip in and read some of them. So hopefully we're going to give you a little bit of a feel for what they're about to see if they're your sort of thing.
Welcome particularly to new subscribers. We've had a bit of a bump recently. I suspect thanks mostly due to Rachel over at Kalanadi, who very kindly gave us a shout out.
Okay, so we decided it would be too difficult to try and rank them, so we're going through alphabetically.
Bear in mind we have to rank them in like a month's time to score them for the Hugos.
That's
So that's too hard, so we're not going to do that now. First off is The Tale of the Three Beautiful Raptor Sisters and the Prince Who Was Made of Meat by Brooke Bolander.
Quite a title.
Really is. Also tells you quite a lot about him. This feels almost middle grade. It's set in what feels like a pretty standard Western fantasy setting, with the exception that there are velociraptors running about that are intelligent enough to narrate a story. And actually that narration I think is one of the best done things in this story. A lot of the similes are very much from a predator's point of view. At one point, a chain is unlocked and coils on the floor like spilled intestines.
I think this has a very memorable premise, but I found the story itself, like the plot, was quite straightforward. Definitely has a twist on it from your kind of typical fantasy story, and it was quite a satisfying ending, but quite a predictable one at the same time. The next one is The Secret Lives of the Nine Negro Teeth of George Washington by P. Jelly Clark. This is the first thing I've read by him, although I'm quite excited to read a few of his other stories. I think he might have been nominated in some of the other categories as well. It was actually quite short, but not just that, it is actually split into 9 different stories. So they're kind of almost flash fiction-esque, and it was a really fun structure for that. So you get the stories of the different people who their teeth were taken to make these dentures. There are some supernatural elements, and the world building was really interesting. I probably didn't get as much from it as if I had a better knowledge of American history, and I find that I don't really remember any of the characters, but that's not surprising when each one was given probably the equivalent of a page. But I did really like the story. The writing was beautiful. I read this out to you in the car, and it was just really nice to read.
Considering that it can be quite hard to stick the landing on a mosaic novel, the fact that this was a satisfying mosaic short story is, I think, really quite impressive. And the depth and consistency of the world building would make me quite intrigued to pick up a novel set in this world. Next up is Stepped by Sarah Gailey, which Bex also tried to read to me in the car, and then went, nope, this is not going to work at all. I won't tell you anything about the plot particularly, but the structure is an introduction to a journal paper, with lots and lots of comments and footnotes because it's been frozen partway during the editing process. Stet is used in copy editing to indicate please ignore the editor's change that they've made here. It's something the writer says.
And so actually through these footnotes you get a conversation between the editor and the author, and one that turns quite poignant.
And through that story, or through that conversation, they reveal the backstory of the writer. Difficult to call them a protagonist since...
Yeah, it does really feel like there's a kind of almost a punch in the gut, like partway through, a bit of a twist, but one that you could see coming, with this kind of dread. It was quite an impactful high concept kind of a story. Whether it's too much gimmick for you is probably depends on the person. I love gimmicky fiction, so this was right up my street.
I also think it's interesting in that it's a piece that really works best online. I'm not sure even how well this would work on most e-readers, but actually reading it as an online piece of fiction worked really well.
Yeah.
Which, given the sort of migration of short fiction magazines into online, I wonder if we're going to see more novel ways of structuring stories.
Up next is another one with a long title, and it's A Witch's Guide to Escape, a Practical Compendium of Portal Fantasies by Alex E. Harrow. There's some really interesting world building in this one. The point of view is a witch who is also a librarian, and in this world, which could be our world, who knows, that is a very typical vocation for a witch. And what this story really speaks to is the power of stories, and particularly stories as escapism. Yeah. I found it quite affecting, but also quite humorous.
It might be worth noting the title of the short story is in fact the title of the MacGuffin, kind of a plot element within the book. This is not in fact a practical compendium of Portal Fantasies.
Yeah, it is a normal kind of narrative story.
I might have preferred the story with that title. But I think perhaps this is interesting in that it's perhaps got a slightly limited view of fiction. The fiction definitely allows a character in the short story to escape from their situation, but I think that's kind of a narrow view of fiction. It doesn't arm him better to survive that situation, it just enables him to run away. And I think it was Terry Pratchett who said that there was no problem with escapist fiction as long as it was escape to somewhere rather than just escape from. And this is very much celebrating fiction as an escape from. Next up is the Rose McGregor Drinking and Appreciation Society, which is by T. Kingfisher and is a response to a genre, to be fair, of fairy stories that I've not read a lot of, but it's pretty quickly established that there is a trope of fairies having mostly female human lovers absconding back to the fairy realm and their human lover pining away and dying at the loss of their fairy love. Rose McGregor is human, very human, and the Drinking and Appreciation Society is made up of her lost fairy loves. I think it's really fun that Rose McGregor, whilst not a point of view character for most of the story, is actually very well realised, possibly more so than the point of view characters.
She's the type of character who I feel like I've seen in real life, but not much in fiction. She is totally self-confident, with a body type that you don't read about much in fiction.
And also, she's unashamedly sexual.
Yes.
And that's not cast in a negative light at all. It's seen by the story somewhere between neutrally and kind of positive.
I found this absolutely hilarious. I read it at lunch, and then on the way home I was like, John, haven't you read it yet? And then I ended up reading to you on the way home, like a few hours later. It's pretty short, but it does everything it needs to. It's got a little bit of a twist at the end, and yeah, I just found it very funny and very quotable.
I think it's kind of consolidated my view that T. Kingfisher / Ursula Vernon is the writer to go to for comedic fantasy. Who's writing today?
Quite a statement. And then the final one is Sarah Pinks's The Court Magician. And this is really all about one idea. And that idea is not one I've seen before, but I felt like it wasn't really fleshed out much beyond that idea. It's a kind of hidden magic slash fantasy. It plays with the difference in societies between people who do magic tricks and people who are true magicians. But I found the main character wasn't really very memorable, or the world.
The protagonist is almost a cipher. He's just a desire.
So I think this was, for me, this was good, but I don't think it'll be one that I'll be really remembering in years' time or anything. So those were our thoughts on the short stories. We'll be reading our way through the novelettes soon, and we'll probably do something similar, so if you'd like to see that, let us know. And if you have any thoughts on these short fiction pieces, then put them in the comments and we'd love to have a conversation about them.
If you think the Hugo nomination process has misfired and missed some of your favourite short fiction of the last year, I think that would be interesting to see as well, if you've got any links, particularly if they're in an interesting format that really only works online.
So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon-ish.